Not in the room tonight, and Mr. Sajjad Tijani for giving this opportunity. Let me paint a little picture about my background first. I've been a banker all over the world at the highest level. I was the chairman of a bank, I sat on some 48 boards across continents, and was also CEO for India's largest asset management company. I also ran credit and risk for HSBC for 15 countries from Hong Kong, and ran their operations for 14 countries, and ran their $40 billion premier bank, and was involved in the merger and acquisition for HSBC US with Marine Midland Bank. On what I do for society and public service, I've ingrained that from my family. The family originally comes from what used to be undivided Punjab and Pakistan now. So from Dera Ismail Khan, and part of the family from my mother's side came from Lahore. So we gave Lahore electricity. We founded the second largest bank in India, and several other industries to pave the way what is India today. And that legacy is a guiding light for me. Trust, integrity, which the family's been involved in for 3 centuries. I'm standing as an independent because politicians have blurred the vision for London and Londoners, for all of us. It's not about one party or the other. Politicians seem to be swaying like the wind, and sometimes when you sit on the fence, the wind makes you fall on the other side. I'll start actually with Gaza. I'm not a leader, I'm not a politician, I'm just anybody like yourselves. I have been for the last 4 months, if you go on Google, I'm the only person with that first and last name, it's not difficult to find me. I've been talking straightaways like none other. It's not about a ceasefire, temporary or permanent. I've been talking about stopping this. Today I was given 1 minute on BBC. Who am I? What am I standing for? My key policies. Even within that 1 minute, you will hear that on BBC. I'll share that clip when it comes to me. I'm talking about total stoppage immediately, because this is not the way humanity can survive. It is wrong. So I've been the strongest advocate for Gaza, unlike anybody else. People have been talking of temporary ceasefires and others, I'm talking about stoppage. That is not the purpose I'm here today, but I just want to say, as far as the community is concerned, I'm deeply entrenched with it. What do I stand for? I think at the end of the day, certain policies are hurting all of us. And when it comes to security and safety, it is paramount. So I want to make sure, at least for the community, to begin with, when you talk of school and what is taught in the schools, one must change that. Sometimes you can't change the curriculum, but you can be a very, very strong voice. And when you're a strong voice, change happens. I want to bring that change. Mr. Ahmad, who is the leader, global president of the Afghan Forum and the Goodwill Movement, talked about the burial ground. Where it comes to, is something that must be provided. So you have my words, and everybody in the community here, that this is something one will provide. Where it comes to security and safety, a certain Prime Minister did visit a certain mosque and promised security. I said that 4 days before that in Enfield, and you happened to be there. So I'm a strong advocate for ensuring that security and safety is paramount for everybody. And that must be provided to the families here, because the children, when they go to school, need the same element of security as anybody else. Where it comes to ensuring that there is advisory from the right community, so I would request the community here to put forth a name who should be an advisor. It's an important...
a deputy from this community.
Yes, and the deputy mayor should come from this community. Because at the end of the day, I don't have all the answers, and I don't think anybody has all the answers. I may sit on many boards and do several things, but you need the right sort of advice, the right sort of understanding of the issues. And that is where I would humbly request the community to come forward with a name. I also intend to bring in advisors from other parts of the community so that we get a holistic view. There are over 270 diasporas from different nations that call London home. And they all need to be protected. They all have diverse views. So unless we get a broader spectrum, it can't be a one-size-fits-all. It can't be an autocratic approach. So we need the input from the communities, and that is paramount. Security and safety has never been worse in London. It's at its lowest ebb as we see it. People, women, children feel unsafe. And if you're looking over your shoulder, you can't really prosper. To ensure growth, we need to make sure police stations are opened up. We need to make sure that you hire the right sort of talent who understands the cultural nuances, because you can't have the police doing whatever they want. So there is a cultural aspect attached to that. For that, you need to review the compensations. You get people with the right sort of input that comes onto it. You need to have a segmented approach for crime, because crime has never been worse. 21 teenagers lost their lives last year. And there have been over 1,000 murders since the current incumbent took over office. And that's one life lost, one too many. At the end of the day, this is a city which is the most congested city in the world. Over 156 hours each average driver is spending driving around. So you have low traffic neighborhoods in one place, you have a 20-mile-per-hour limit, you have a congestion charge, and then you also have a disaster policy called ULEZ. I will abolish ULEZ totally, because at the end of the day, a 2,000 scrapper charge, I don't think even gets you a good bicycle these days. The 20-mile-per-hour limit, unless it's close to a hospital, a school, or somewhere it's absolutely necessary, needs to go. A lot of people actually are getting points and they're losing their licenses. Certain people are not able to adjust themselves, and that is what is clogging up the air, not ULEZ. That 156 hours I mentioned earlier is also costing money. It's costing an average driver about £1,375, apart from affecting growth overall. The low traffic neighborhoods can involve you going through a circuitous route. So you want to come to the center here, but you've got to come through a longer route, and that's what is clogging up the air. So we've got to get rid of that. And these strikes, unnecessary strikes, you've again got to look at compensation. I've dealt with unions in different countries and with regulators. We can deal with the unions and handle them. It's not a case of finding an excuse, it's a case of finding solutions. Leveling up is important. There are over 2.2 million people living in poverty in London. 33% of them are children. And that's the reason 63% didn't come out to vote last time. And that's where the secret is. Why would somebody come out if you're doing nothing for me? So that's the problem. So we got to find affordable housing homes. Only 4% have been built by the current incumbent. Not enough. People are having to leave London. And even when there are existing social housing, investment needs to go into that to make sure people can call a home. And these communities that I'm alluding to, the youth are getting exploited if they don't have a proper home. अगर मुझे यही नहीं पता मैंने कल कहाँ रहना है, तो मेरी शिद्दत से मैं उस जगह में रहना नहीं चाहूँगा और मैं involvement मेरी कम रहेगी. तो to ensure that the youth are engaged, to ensure that the elders are happy, ensure that the communities are all singing from the same hymn sheet. So think of a plane. When we sit on a plane, we are sitting on the seat, but several factors actually come into play before the plane actually takes off on the runway. We don't see all of that. That is what the communities are. People have lost their smiles. If you go around London, people are not happy. And why they're not happy? Because there's not enough opportunity for the youth. I'm also the co-founder and co-chair of one of the world's largest startup foundations. 11,000 startups came last year from 11 different countries. And that's not only startups, they're very big companies and they need funding, some need mentoring. And London needs that sort of thing. It's a global startup system here, but most of the funds are still coming from the US as venture capital is concerned. It needs to be the greenest city. It needs to be the most digitally connected city. And London needs a champion. These are unprecedented times, and geopolitically, we are at an inflection point. I alluded to Gaza, but this is not the only thing happening in the world. These politicians speak from the hip, not from the heart. You understand? And when they speak from the hip, you don't know where the wind will blow sometime. Things can conflagrate out of proportion, and that is why we need to be careful. I've been speaking at different forums, different channels, looking straight at the camera and telling the politicians not to play with people. That this is an election year, and people will decide. It should be something for the people, by the people, of the people, and they've forgotten all this. So that is why, as an independent, I come to the community, because I believe this is where, as a Hindu, you'll be surprised. I went to, I wanted to see the Shahi Imam. Everybody's heard about the Taj Mahal here? So the Taj Mahal was built by Shah Jahan, and when he built it, he also built a little home called the Red Fort, and the masjid is called Jama Masjid. And the Imam, the Shah Imam, comes from Bukhara, and for 300 years from the same family. So I went to him, and he normally meets kings, queens, presidents. I said, "Aap thodi mere liye bhi zara duaएं पढ़ लीजिए, आप अल्लाह के बहुत करीब हैं." So he was wearing, Maulana Sahab was wearing a very nice, Maulana Sahab is not here now. He was wearing a very nice cap-like, hat-like Maulana Sahab. He takes his hat or cap and puts it on my head. And he said, Allah ke duaएं aapke saath hai, jeet aap hi ki hogi. So as an independent, just as Hazrat Imam Ali was known for his bravery, for being just, for being somebody recognized as one of the finest leaders the world has ever seen, I come to you as an independent with the same element of justice in my heart, which my family has been showing for 3 centuries. Perhaps it'll be a little brash if I don't mention it, but I haven't changed over the last 50 years. When I started by selling tomato ketchup, was to pick up the empty bottles, recycle them so that it could be competitive, and knocked on empty doors, cold calling, and then ended up being a chairman of a bank and everything else. It is sheer hard work, but also teamwork and taking people along with you. Being honest is most important. So my slogan is nothing about anything else. It's about trust and growth. It's about what Mr. Ahmad was talking about, being honest. That's the reason I'm here today, and that's why I get the support of the Afghan Forum and yourselves. I humbly request you, as an independent, to support me. You can read about my policies. There are many more things to talk about, but this is not the forum. I'm extremely grateful, sir, for your time, and I'd like to come back because, as he said, the food was delicious. And आपकी दुआएं साथ रहेंगी तो जीत जरूर होगी, क्योंकि एक independent जो होता है, if you're honest and you fight, I work 22 hours a day, somebody is watching from the top. More importantly, I think the Hindu community and the Muslim community needs to come together. I'm on several WhatsApp groups, and I promise you, it's never been worse. It's never been worse. When I used to go to school, I used to be very fond of cheese, and my mother would give me cheese with white bread, and we used to call it tiffin. एंड इट डिडंट मैटर आप कुछ और टिफिन ला रहे होते थे तो मेरी नजर उधर जाती थी, तो कुछ आपसे भी ले लेता था, कुछ मेरे से लेते थे, और ये कभी किसी के जहन में नहीं आया कि ये कहाँ से है और कहाँ से आ रहा है. That difference has arisen today, and it is very heartbreaking if that continues. And I think one of the reasons I'm standing is to bring, I'm the only Asian on that ballot, and in case you didn't know, as an independent, it took away 3 weeks of campaigning time. One had to go to all the 32 boroughs to get signatures and then to get electoral numbers, where the people in the election offices sat from one party or the other, refused to give individuals those numbers quite easily. So I worked hard to be on that ballot where a lot of party members and others didn't get it. And with your blessings, I will be the next mayor. And inshallah, we'll celebrate that together, but also deliver on all the promises I made today, because I've never broken a promise, sir. आप मेरी नजर में अगर निगाह डाल के देखेंगे तो ये झुकेगी नहीं. सच्चाई इसमें लिखी हुई है, और आपको जरूर मेरे वादे यही रहेंगे कि एक डेप्यूटी मेयर यहाँ से आए, एंड ऑल्सो अदर एडवाइजर्स, द बेरियल ग्राउंड, एंड ऑल्सो इन टर्म्स ऑफ बिकमिंग अ